Okay, we are live.
So I'm removing the.
We can start now, is it? Is it live on Facebook?
Yes, we are good to go.
You're good to go? Okay.
Yeah.
So, a very warm welcome to everyone. We welcome you to Orion, the annual fest organized by Sri Sri University and the first college to host an online annual fest and MUN. We can proudly say that we welcome participants from all around the globe. Orion, in collaboration with SSUIMUN, brings you the Spotlight series, where we discuss and learn about various topics of interest and bring about awareness among people. So, in today's event, we're going to talk about the topic celebrating Pride Month. And we're glad to announce our today's guest speaker, Mr. Patruni Chidananda Sastry. Patruni Chidananda Sastry, founder of Dragwanti and an Indian tranimal drag artist, is also a classical dancer, entrepreneur, and also a customer service expert. We are honored by your presence, sir. So, the panelist members for today are Harshita from BA English Honors, Antav Banerjee, BSc Psychology and Contemplative Science, Ritvik from BSc Data Science first year, Ridha from Bachelor's of Business Administration, and Anushka Nayak from the Department of Architecture. So I would like the first panelist member to begin with their question. We have Harshita.
Hi, sir. This is Harshita. Firstly, I'm very honored to talk to you, and also happy Pride.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I had this question because, most of us usually go through this state of confusion where we, cannot actually decide if we are belonging. I mean, if we are straight or not. I mean, something like that has happened with me too. So, I mean, what according to you might be the actual way to decide, come to that conclusion part from the confusion part?
Yeah, so this is something which I can kind of relate to my journey as well. So when, it's always not something which we kind of get and pick, like when we were children, all of us, if somebody comes and tells to us that, oh, fire is something which is dangerous, you should not touch fire or your hands will burn. But still, there are times when we went ahead, we touched the fire, we got that burnt hand or finger, and then came back home crying to our mothers or fathers and everybody. So how exactly it happens is like we are exploring that particular thing. There are some people who even touch fire and they don't get that burning sensation. That is something which might be natural as well. And there are still people existing who do like a lot of stunts with fire, going into the fire and, catching, holding and playing with fire, which is quite common in our own setup. But how did they get to know? Because they have touched the fire and they realize that it's not causing them pain. So similarly, sexuality or gender, what we are being taught is something which is firstly we are not being taught. So let's start there. Like if you say sex as a word, in an Indian setup to parents, they would be like, oh, what are you talking about? Like that is how we kind of react to. So we are not being taught about sex, or we are not being taught about attraction, emotion, gender in the very first place. Now, it is a kind of a way where we self-discovered. Like how exactly we self-discovered? Firstly, when I started my journey of when I started understanding my gender, I first went ahead and tried to read about, what exactly are my feelings. Like I was self-reading myself. Like I still remember time and again when I couldn't figure out, couldn't associate with the gender norms in the very first place. I was always kind of balked. I was like, okay, this is not working out for me. It's not, it's not what the rule set is telling. Am I doing something wrong? So these are the questions which we usually get. And then I started going ahead and talking with people. So it was groups or organizations where I went ahead. I talked with people. My generation is quite fruitful that we have internet at that point in time. So I went ahead and Googled about what exactly is the feeling about, or why am I feeling in this way, and then I got the information about terminology, sexuality, and so on and so forth. Even then, even after reading everything, first I thought like, okay, I was somebody who was attracted to a woman. And then I thought like, no, I'm also attracted to men. And then I was like, okay, there is one way of attraction towards women, one way attraction towards men. And then I am also attracted to transgender people. I identified myself as a gender fluid first, then as gender non-binary, then as bisexual, and then as pansexual. So it's like it's a flow. You can't kind of predict. You can't pick it up for the very instant. So why I got these many understanding is because I was exploring it. I was able to go ahead and have active conversation. I was open there and kind of evolving myself. So yeah, that is something which is important. Have conversations, evolve yourself, like explore. The idea of exploration is something which need to be imbibed within our school system, so that they would understand it and people would be able to go ahead and find their own self in one or the other way.
Right. That's so nice to hear. And also, sir, though we have a lot of awareness already right now in India about the queer community, in Indian history, we were always vocal about such homosexuality and heterosexuality. Ever since we go back to ages of Lord Shiva and Parvati, we had the androgynous systems and all. But even today, we still, kind of throw a parda on it. We try to hide it. We don't speak about it. And I mean, what could be better steps of, improving that stages? And because awareness didn't do any good, right? Let's be honest. Awareness still has to be more in us, but awareness didn't do any good. So what, according to you, might be some of those steps that could, make us not so shelled up about this topic? So you're muted.
So you're mute.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, so the very first thing is to have a conversation like this one, like majorly where we are coming ahead and having an active conversation with each other. And what exactly happens with that is we would be able to go ahead and take the word from one place to the other. Like more people coming ahead and having conversation, the more idea of opening up happens in the very first place. But having said that, yeah, I do understand the activism doesn't go through a long way, because by the end of it, if somebody has to be an activist, like, let's also figure it out in this way that, if an activist as somebody who is going ahead and constantly telling people, okay, you should accept, you should accept, you should accept. At one point in time, even if the people are not changing, the activist will give up. But when it comes to art in its own way, art kinds of never gives up. Art is something which is consistent, which is persistent, which kinds of ensures that, okay, everybody's there, every word has been heard, everything has been heard in a proper way. So that is the fruit of art. And I think when it comes to putting up activism with art, like you talk about these subjects, put it on movies, represent people from the LGBT community, bring LGBT community people onto screens, and give them the opportunity. And if somebody is not giving us the opportunity, let's create our opportunities ourselves. So these are some of the things which can be done. And art always has this power of breaking the conventional activism, which is still being there. Like, activists can be put on jail, but art can never be put on jail. It's still there. People will still go ahead and kind of access it. So that is something which we all should do, like, create activational art and present it to people. It will take time. It's like not everything we got in the very first day. It will definitely take time. But the only thing is, like, the more we speak, the more voices come out, the more diversity comes out. That's when we would be able to understand it in the very first place. So we need to keep that going on. Like, we need to do it regularly.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hi, yes.
Hello, sir. I'm Antaf Banerjee. It's my honor to listen to you, be it the TED Talk, and today I'm more privileged to sit in front of you and ask the question. So my first question is, what's the difference between sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression?
Okay, wonderfully asked. And this is something which we all get confused. We don't have these definitions in any other Indian languages. And sometimes we kind of don't respect, because, especially if you are talking with people who are non-speaking, or people who doesn't speak English, it takes a little bit of a time for all of us to explain it to them in the very first place. So let me just quickly go ahead and tell you in this particular way. First is gender identity, sexual identity, as well as gender expression. Gender expression is something which you wear or which you show, like a man wearing a shirt and the pant, a woman wearing a gown or a dress. So that is a gender expression which is associated with each and every gender identity. Now, when it comes to LGBTQI plus people like me, I don't believe in the conventional gender expression which people put in. So I dress up like, whatever I could find, and I create a clown of myself. But that is how it is. Like, that is how my gender expression is. So that is the part of gender expression. Gender identity. So gender is something where which kinds of fits between the idea of what your mind tells than that of what the biology assigned to you. So okay, the current is up. Give me one quick second. Thank God it's here. Oh God, bear with me. Now you can see my makeup in a far more better way and in a good way. Yeah, so I was talking about gender expression, where gender expression is, gender identity. What the mind says, like our mind tells that, okay, this is our gender identity and this is how you are. Like if you're born as a man, but your mind is telling, oh no, you are a woman. That is your gender orientation. That is how your gender thinks in. And sexuality is nothing but with whom I would go on to bed. Like, will I, being a man, if I'm going with a man onto bed, I would be homosexual. Being a man, I'm going with a woman to bed. That is a heterosexual. And being a man, I'm going with both bisexual or more than two genders, pansexual. So that is how the sexuality works. And so what the mind tells us is majorly the gender identity. What we present is the gender expression, and what we take to our bedroom is the gender or sexual orientation. Yeah, these are the three segments of it.
Thank you so much, sir. Your valuable word will help a lot of people to clear out this confusion. Sir, the next question is, then I'm going to present my next question. And being a psychology student, this question is very disturbing for me as well. According to a WHO report, 32% of the suicide attempts are committed by teens of the LGBTQ plus community. And talking about our nation, acceptance has surely increased, but it's still not enough. What are your views and opinion on the bias? And we would be grateful if you could give a few suggestions to the parents in order for them to be more accepting and welcoming for their children who may belong to this committee.
Yeah, firstly, again, parents, our parents or our generation of people who have raised us, they didn't have the access of information in the very first place. They don't know what exactly is pansexual people or gender fluid people. And as I said, the Indian languages definitely doesn't have an alternative words for this English words. And people who are not speaking English, it takes a little bit of time for them to understand in the very first place. But what can actually happen as a queer individual is to first, not a kind of you have to come out by the end of it, but come out is not mandatory. Don't come into peer pressure. Okay, my friend has come out, so I need to come out as well, or my boyfriend has come out, so I need to come out as well. Let's not do that. Let's see what exactly is important or why exactly it's necessary in the very first place. Having said that, sometimes what exactly happens is, like, when a queer individual comes ahead directly and tells something to the parents, they don't understand in the very first place, because we are giving a lot of information for them to kind of sink in. What can we do? Rather, we can actually go ahead and educate them bit by bit. Like, first day, ask them to watch a movie. Second day, keep it open. Like, have these conversations. Third day, just tell that, okay, this is what it is. And when you're telling it, don't kind of think twice that, you're telling something wrong, or is it something which is acceptable. Those are the other things, like those will come in place. But just try to induce one word at a time, like one step at a time, and kind of induce it to parents and tell it to people. If they're understanding, that is well and good. And you need to test waters, like, to understand, okay, it's working or not. If it's not working, we can't do anything. It's just like you need to figure out, or you need to have a backup, figure out, and then just move on, because that's how it is. Like, that's the reality part, which is not so true. Like, half of the queer individuals need to walk off their families because of unacceptance. So these are some of the things which a queer individual can do. Secondly, understand that there's a community behind, there's a family behind. It's a chosen family. The LGBT community is stronger. There are a lot of conversations which are happening. There are people out there who can come and help you. So always think that there's always a help which is there on the other side, and never think you are all alone in this particular fight, because we're all fighting in one or the other capacity. Thirdly, even for parents, if you don't understand it in the very first place, at least try it. Like, try to understand it. That's the only thing which I can say. It's, I know that it might be new to everybody, but it's, by the end of it, it's just a life, and you don't want your child to be suffering their entire life and do something which they are not meant to do. So it's really important to take that extra time and educate yourself, or at least listen. You don't have to be pro in everything. You don't have to understand everything, but just listen. And listening is something which makes half of the work done.
Thank you so much, sir. This would be helpful for many of the parents and teens. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. So now we have Ritvik from data science with the
Thank
next
you,
question.
Shalmin. I am honored to be the part of this prestigious session. My first question is, what consequences did you have to face when you acknowledge your identity and sexuality?
So for me, I'm privileged. Like, I am highly privileged. I have parents who are quite open. They don't understand anything, but they don't even kind of question my existence or identity. So when I said about my gender fluidity, they're like, okay, I don't understand it, but I'm with you. So that is what it is. So I didn't had any kind of a hardship. I haven't faced any hardship majorly in coming ahead and putting myself out into my parents. But I do see that at certain times when you go into a public space, or when you speak it openly in public, there are some here and there some comments or something which comes in, which is there in the society. As the other person who's telling is not somebody who's near and dear to me, so it doesn't affect me in the way, in that much level. I don't walk with that information to my house. So yeah, for me, it's not been that hard enough, because I think I'm lucky in that space.
That's great. My second question is, should the struggles and fights of the people belonging to the community be included in the academic curriculum?
I think this is definitely something which we all can do. For example, in Karnataka, there is this wonderful poetry which was been included in the curriculums of people, and this poetry was written by a trans woman, and something like that kinds of adds a huge amount of volumes, because we need to be heard. Like, I have studied a lot of heterosexual stories, like talking about all the heterosexuality which is being told into my school, history, social, and everything. And even in English. But why can't you have at least 5 or 6, not five is, I think it's really less, but still have 5 or 6 stories about queer people or people from other gender and sexuality. So at least we will have an inclusive subjects. People would be able to learn, they would know the words. So I think that can help in kind of bridging the gap between what they want to see and how they want to go and pursue.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, sir. My name is Riddha, and my first question to you is a bit controversial, but I believe that it is important that I state that the first ever Pride March was on 22nd July 1999 in Kolkata, way before the independence. So why does the people now are opposing it and soling it in and something that is unexpected, unnatural, and deeming it unsuitable? Even the parents would often abandon their children because they think that that is not the natural process of life. So what is your opinion on that, sir?
Yeah, so majorly, the very first Pride March which has happened, again, that was a difficult time, to be honest, even if it's happening before British, but still it's a difficult time for people to march in. And now what exactly happened was sexuality and gender and all these kind of orientations were already there. It was in a far more better space. before the Britishers came in, and it's just the laws which they kind of adapted from the West. They kept it in India, and they said like, okay, now you have to follow as well. So that is the problem. So that is why we are kind of following the footsteps of somebody who have come into our space and told us a story which they have been telling for multiple times. So now, even when like they ruled for around multiple years. Now in this multiple years are quite enough for an entire population as well as a generation to follow their aesthetics. Like, though we don't support colonization, though we don't support the ideas of Britishers, but still somehow the other way they have had a huge chunk of information or huge chunk of I would say forced plotation of their own beliefs and systems. Like, they couldn't see how the sexuality or gender was up and celebrated in Indian context, but it took them a while. It took Indians a while to kind of hush it, because just because the Britishers came and told. So that is a problem, and now even after around 56 or 7 years of independence, we still are going ahead, and we are still not agreeing to the fact that we need to walk or move on from the thought process which they have given us. It's a high time we just say that, no, I don't want to think in your way, I want to think it in my way. But yeah, it takes a little bit of time as well, I guess. And now things are changing. Now people are going ahead and reading a lot of things, and sometimes even the notion, like, now the demography of India is so different. Like, it's not only one religion which we have now. We have multiple religions which are going here and there and everywhere. So even when we are going ahead and talking about a certain thing, we need to ensure or understand that we have a homogeneous community, and we need to tighten it up by representing everybody from everywhere. So we can't say that, okay, Shastra mein likha tha, that's why we are going and telling it. But it's like, this is something which is natural, which is scientifically natural, which is scientifically say whatever, but it's something which is quite natural in its own way, and people just need to agree with it. And it's by the end of it, they don't have a choice. They just need to go and agree with it.
So it's kind of funny that most people say that it's unnatural and stuff like that, when it's actually quite natural.
Indeed.
And said, like, they are actually adapting to the Western ideology rather than the Indian, and saying, no, you are influenced by the Western, don't do that. Okay.
Indeed.
So moving on, my next question and last question for you is that in various countries, especially in America and some parts of India, many companies actually follow the queer baiting during the Pride Month to gain more sales. Like, they use it to their advantage. So what is your views regarding this?
Yeah, so definitely there is a lot of pink washing. There's a lot of, I would say, the idea of toning their logos into, or turning their logos into pride colors and all that thing, which happens because by the end of it, even if it's a festival, they think that it's one way where they can kind of gain a little more attention, especially in the part of Pride Month. But on a grassroots level, it doesn't just work in that way. Performative activism doesn't work. If you really need to go ahead and ensure that you are really supporting, the very first thing is to hire the people who are from the transgender community or people from the other spec of life into your workforce. And again, like not hiring for the sake of hiring, but to hire in an active way. Like as in when you are hiring a person, if you're hiring a straight man, you won't go and write in the interview subject that straight man hiring. But when it comes to a transgender person hiring, there's a pre-verb which you put it in: transgender person hiring, or gay person hiring, or gay interview, something like that, which is not correct. And the idea of tokenism need to be going on. There need to be genuinity when it comes to go ahead and work. And if you are telling, if I know there is a lot of movies as well which kind of promote or talk about queer communities. In those spaces, it's not the people who are coming from the queer community coming out and telling the story. It's somebody else telling the story. So it's really important to bring the people from the queer community in front line and ask them to tell the stories, because that is how you can make a change. You'll get the authentic information. You will not get a version which is being told by somebody else. So that is something which need to be done. The logo changing, the entire gimmick of performative, I would say, activism doesn't work. And people are right now woke. We know that, okay, this is something which is happening. This is one thing which I and a couple of friends were doing. Like all the companies which had changed their logos into multiple colors, we went back and we asked them, are you going ahead and hiring people? And how can you hire people? And what is your process? And some of them said, just send the resume. Or somebody said like, yeah, we have a MRG and all that thing. But when we sent the resume, we kind of tested and saw that nothing was working out. And it's just a performative activism. We kind of called it out. Like we said, like, okay, we said this is this, but it's not working out. Now buckle up and reform your own self. So calling out is something which is happening quite often. And I think that is somewhere helping the entire community in far more better way.
Thank you. I enjoyed the answer very much. Now I would ask Anushka to move forward.
So before that, I had a question that I've been eager to ask. Sir, is it okay? Can you tell us something about Dragvanti?
About Dragvanti, okay. So again, my power is off, so that's why I'm all green.
That's okay.
Oh, this is terrible. But having said that, regarding Dragvanti, so Dragvanti was a baby which was born in 2020. And the major perspective of Dragvanti was to go ahead and create a community of all the drag artists in India. We bring together everybody and we say that, this is a community, we are all artists and we need more spaces, more time, more people coming ahead and encouraging the art of drag and, learning, co-learning as well as sharing the knowledge with each other. So that was the entire perspective of Dragvanti in the very first place. Now, why I have started is because when I started drag, I didn't have much information. And drag was already there in India. It's been first documented in Natya Shastra, which is around 800 years ago. What the West claims is that, it started from Victorian era, which is far beyond, like it's around 1900 or so when the Victorian era or Victorian theater started. So the core was already there in India. People are performing drag for ages now. And I thought like it's really important to bring more information about Indian drag or how exactly it's originated, who are the artists who are going ahead and doing it, and what is the background of drag in our country. So those are some of the ideas which I thought of, and I created this web portal where I would give the information to people. I would also add or list all the drag artists in India, all of them together, and put it across a directory where people can go ahead and access it. So yeah, that was the entire idea of Dragvanti. I call it as my baby because I have a, I started enjoying the process of what exactly is the message is kind of going ahead and giving. And it's a community which has been, which is not run by one person. It's run by the entire family or entire community of drag artists in India. So that is something which is really wonderful. Now the power is back.
This is so, I mean, it's just so adorable the way you say Dragvanti as your baby. It just shows what an emotional connect you have with this, and it's really nice. So I had another question. In your bio, in your website, it is mentioned that you relate business with dance via expressionism. How do you think? Could you elaborate on it a little more?
Definitely. So now what exactly happens is like, because of businesses, because of technology, we are all being, some or the other way dependent on the mechanism of machines, but somehow the human touch or the human connect is missing. Because the technology is so high now, even the art is kind of replenishing. Like imagine before a few years, you used to go to theater. Now theater is not happening because there are movies which came in, and now even movie theaters are not working because we're all in COVID, and we have other options like Netflix and Amazon, which is working on a far more better way. So what exactly happens is the direct human connection is not happening in multiple levels. Now, when it comes to the perspective of business needs that human touch, or business needs that humanity coming in the very first place. We spend around lakhs and lakhs of rupees to acquire a technology. or present something which is far more visual and presentable in its own space. But we don't think about the alternative methods which can both empower a human being as well as do the purpose what the other technology is doing. So that is the major bridge which I was able to go ahead and tackle at the very first end. So I said to my manager that there was a presentation which was happening in my office, and they asked me to go and do a PowerPoint presentation. I said, like, no, I don't want to do PowerPoint presentation. He's like, what do you like to do? I said, I will dance on this particular presentation. So it was a boardroom, and I was going ahead and dancing about a few aspects or few data visualizations of my project in front of my manager and senior managers and everybody. And people were like, oh, what is this happening? Why is it happening, or what is this happening? And then I was able to go ahead and give them a briefer about, see, this is how you can. Why are you using a PowerPoint? Which is, nobody would see a PowerPoint these days. Like, it's so boring. There's too much of information, but you just perform a dance, people will kind of stick to you. That is a human touch. That is the humanity which we are talking about. So that is what is required. And I think the alternative art has a really great, I would say, a way of going and communicating things. Like, imagine, like, if you are giving a PowerPoint to a person, rather than hire artists, hire dancers who can come and turn your PowerPoint into a movable human art. So that is something which is really important, that can do a lot of things. Same with things which happen on a communicational level, or same with the things which you can't talk, like there are a lot of things which you can't talk in India, especially about sexuality, gender, and all that thing. But what we can do is we can perform art. We perform the art, and people will be able to understand it without using any kind of words. So that's the power of art, and that's the power of expressionism. So I think that is something which I started doing, and I kind of find this really wonderful to see how business can be run with enabling art in its own way. Like, imagine there are dancers who are going ahead and performing in boardrooms and business meetings, or imagine a dancer going ahead and doing a political campaign, telling about multiple things which a politician will do once they're elected. It kinds of helps in a lot more better way, and we can take better decisions if that is being done in the very first place.
That is true. This is given me a whole new perspective about seeing things. And thank you so much. Like, this is very interesting. So now I'd move on to Harshita, who also has a question. So Harshita.
So, sir, again, like you have, mentioned that how few of the brands use their the pride as the promotion thing or like an activist thing, right? So now I'll tell you what I did. This afternoon before the live, I went to my parents and I was asking them, what would you do if I wasn't straight, if I belonged to the queer community? So my dad and mom spoke, but then I had somebody outside. So they were like, how stupid was that question? Why would you say something like that? So often, and it's not like they're not educated or not, right? So often it happens like even the educated people, no, they have this, they see this like an abomination, they kind of abandon that topic, right? So just like this, now I had this thought, if somebody like this goes into politics and gets power, he just ruin all of it, right? You just ruin the community you're trying to build, because at the end of the day, it's the law that's passing. So how have you come up with Dragvati, and you've sustained a lot all through the political pressures? I'm sure there were a lot of political pressures too. And you're from Hyderabad, it's a South India, so it would have been more worse.
Indeed. So I will just add a couple of things over here. So majorly what happens is, like, there's still, whatever the situation was, whatever the hypothetical situation is not hypothetical anymore. It's real. There are politicians out there who have the power to decide what my gender is. Like, it's there. It's fact in India for sure. And if I need to get my certified gender, if I want to certify my gender, I need to walk up to a district magistrate to confirm that, okay, my gender, I'm a trans person, or I'm somebody from this particular gender. So we have, our body is not our body, but somebody else's mechanism for us to go ahead and assign gender. So this is where the entire problem starts. Like, this is where the entire fight is needed. like the hustle or the constantly coming ahead and telling people say sometimes that, why do you perform so much of drag, or why do you present yourself every time in public? The question to answer to that is because I have to present, I have to do this because there are a lot of other people who are not in the position of doing it because they are being restricted by a certain entity. I have a privilege to do this, so I have to do it. So if I do it, I can open some more doors to other people who are actually behind me or who are seeing me, and who will be able to kind of open or kind of hustle for their own self. Somebody has to take a first step. Somebody has to kind of unbuckle those things which are there in the society, and that is what is required, and that is what it is to open up. So when I wanted to start drag in India, sorry, in Hyderabad especially, people didn't want to do it because they thought it's a cross-dressing thing, and it's a bit something which is vulgar, or something which might not go ahead and give any kind of purpose of entertainment, because they thought like that might change their space to something which is more cheesy in its own way. So I was not given spaces to perform drag. So when this was happening, I said like, okay, what if they are not giving me spaces? Okay, I don't want their spaces anymore. I can do it in a public space. So I, with a couple of friends, walked into bus stops. We kind of busked about, there was busking happening, and we were doing drag in bus stops, in railway stations, in all the public spaces. Now, what exactly happens with this is when we are presenting ourselves out in public, we become the canvas which people are attracted to. So that if I'm presenting like this in public, people will be kind of wants to come and the curiosity kicks in. They want to come ahead and understand or see or listen to whatever exactly is happening. They might not agree with me for sure, but they can at least come ahead and see. They will definitely wants to come ahead and see and look and ask why exactly am I doing it. So that is what my intent is. Like once I go ahead, once I present myself, once I gather their attention, that's when I go and tell them, okay, secretly that, you need to change your patriarchy, or you need to change your thought process. It's a high time. So that's when some people will take it, some people will not take it, but still I'm doing my work. I'm still putting my activation or activism out in public. Again, the current went off.
Thanks, sir. Because I mean, I personally feel that's very courageous to do, just walking out into people and, telling them, hey, this is me. Okay.
Indeed.
That's so great.
So now we have Anushka with her set of questions.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Anushka.
So first, I'd like to say that you look amazing, even with the power cut, and a lot of us do not have the courage to actually show up if we have a power cut. So I'm really, really glad you are here and you tried to, and you put all this effort just to be here, and it means so much to us.
Thank you so
And
much. I was
so
just
there's
wondering
this
if
one
there was
point that you mentioned about.
Yeah, sorry. Go
Pardon,
ahead.
sir?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying that there's this point that you mentioned about art, and being somewhat of an artist myself, I have been into busking like quite a lot. And there was this one instance where we were having our normal sessions, and this one, and then like that was like we had LGBTQIA plus as our agenda, just to like create a bit of awareness, and we were like writing poems about the same. So what happened is there were like these people who were trying to act like the people from the community. And what happened is this old couple, they come to us and they're like, what are they doing? And we tell them that they are representing people who belong to the queer community. And they tell us, कि movies में तो ऐसा नहीं दिखाता, तुम लोग क्या दिखा रहे हो? So is it like something that the movies and like everything that we watch, everything that we consume, they influence our thought, and in some way they contribute to the biasness that is there against the community?
Indeed, yeah. I think you have actually pointed out the crux of the entire situation, the homophobia. The reason why we act in a society in a certain way is because we are being influenced by a certain thing. Like majorly, let's imagine that, if all of us are going ahead and using social media in the very first place, there have been movies which are on social media, which is there, like there's one movie which is called a Social Network, which is a story about Facebook. And, we see these kind of movies and then we understand the power of it. Same with, like how we dress up. The fashion is something which is evolving. Why is it evolving? Because the film industry is telling us how to be fashionable. Now, when it comes to the idea of gender or sexuality in the very first place, the reason why they don't want to show the queerness or the homosexuality in the way it's real, because that will not get them money. That will not power them. That will not make the movie successful. They want a snob story, or they want a story which is again a way of seeing a certain thing, or they want to crack a joke or make fun out of, because then they can get the accessibility of going ahead and doing it. So when this happens, this kind of sets up a wrong ideas for everybody who are watching it. Now, in South India, majorly, like especially the place from where I'm coming from, people don't know what exactly is gender fluidity. And when I go ahead like this, they think that I'm going ahead and, I'm a performer from this famous TV show called as Jabardast, which is majorly where men would dress up and mock women, or mock feminine energies in their own way. So that is where the idea is setting up. And that's why people think that, okay, drag is again something which is mocking the entire femininity in its own way, but it's not mocking, it's celebrating. And that is something which need to be changed. And why exactly it happens? The story makers, the writers, the creators of these stories are again people from the straight community or from the heteronormative. Unless and until a queer person comes ahead, creates a story, tells a story, or articulates a story, you won't know what exactly is the true thing. Like, I can tell about having, giving a birth of a child without even experiencing it. And whatever I would be telling, it's again a third point of view. It's not something which I have felt or I have put it across. So that is what is important. That is why there's a huge amount of representation which is needed from the queer community in movie industries or any kind of art fields. And that's when we would be able to go and change the gaze or the perspective of people in the society.
That is like so correct, because I mean this speaks to, I don't know, this speaks of so many levels, like starting from the dramas that we have, and starting from the skits that we have, to the movies that are earning in millions. I mean, this speaks to like so much. And on that note, sir, like we know of a lot of movies and a lot of dramas that mock the community. But are there any movies or documentaries or books that you would suggest that we can watch, which kind of bring out the truth of the community, or maybe they are socially accepting?
So I would kind of suggest a couple of movies which you can watch. I'm not a reader, but I can give you the writers who have written some wonderful books. There is one particular movie it's a documentary called is Marsha P. Joseph, The Death in the Life of Marsha P. Joseph, which is on Netflix. So that's something which gives you higher information about queer community in its own way. We have Paris is Burning is one of the other documentary which has been there talking about it. In India, we have some wonderful movies which are being created by people. I think there's one particular movie called as Nagar Kirtan, though it's been performed by, it's a Bengali movie. And in Tamil and Telugu, there is, not in Telugu, but Tamil, there is a Super Deluxe or, Pavaka Degal is something which is happening. Now, I will not tell how politically these are correct, because again, these are all cisgender heteronormative people performing transgender roles, which might not be the base or the core of it, but it at least gives you a little bit of a positive message, or at least kind of sensitizes you with the aspect of it. So let's just see it in that way. Now, coming back to the books which we are talking about, there's one particular book by Alok Ved Menon. They have written this wonderful book which talks about gender in construct. I think it's called as gender. gender continuum, something like that. But you can definitely read that particular book. There's one book by Devdutt Patnaik called as Shikhandi and the Stories Untold. That is something which kinds of links in. Parmesh, there's something called as Queeristan, which also kinds of gives more information about queer lives within India. Hoshan Merchant is one of the very popular writers of queer literature. They have written multiple books on queer issues. You can definitely go ahead and read out them. There's a couple of magazines or e-magazines which you can definitely follow. One of them is gacy.com, which is again an e-magazine run by some wonderful people from the community. That is something which you can kind of look out for. There is Galaxy magazine, which is again a wonderful place which you can see a lot of content coming up. And do follow Dragwanti if you want to know more about drag. So yeah, those are some of the spaces which you can definitely look into.
Thank you so much for the suggestions, though. Now, I think you're having these parkers because they just prove that you're beautiful, like either way. So it's just showing us.
Because
And
I think we are just, as I said, the electricity person is homophobic, so that's why they're power cutting it on and on.
So there's this another thing which kind of like it sort of like makes me very emotional to think of. So I know of a lot of transgender, people who have been facing all these consequences of people's biased views against them. Like and like this is one thing that I've noticed that generally they are below poverty line, or they have to beg people, or they have to like they have to resort to mediums they should not, in order to just just like gain a little money. So this is like one thing. Oh my god.
Okay, this is
So
all
that's completely fine, sir. So I was saying that when we see this, like we see people who are being harassed, is there like any way where how we can help them, or like are there any organizations which help people who are suffering through this like on a daily basis?
So I think the very first thing as a person, if you're seeing somebody being pushed into bullying or anything which is transphobic or homophobic, it gives a lot of power if you go and join that particular support. Like if somebody is trolling on Instagram, be the voice, go and report for us, or be that person who can actually go and do or help us in a far more better way. So that's one way of going ahead and doing it. Secondly, yeah, there are organizations. There are organizations like Hamsa for Trust, which is in Delhi, Mobila Foundation in Hyderabad, and there Queer Nilayam is again in Hyderabad. In Chennai, there is one more organization. In Kerala, it's Queer Nilayam, which is there. Jamshedpur Pride is one of the organizations from Jamshedpur, and a lot of local organizations which are there in multiple places, multiple states of India. So that is something which they can reach out to. Tenver Project is one of them, where if somebody is in US, they can dial up a number which can go ahead and give counseling, as well as give an action way of going ahead and talking about things. So yeah, that is one way of going ahead and kind of calling any kind of situation out. It's also important to reach out to police, because now police is far more sensitized. Like when it comes to, especially I'm talking about Telangana police. I'm not sure about the other state, but here they are really sensitized about queer issues, and never feel fear about certain things. Like if you're feeling feared, that is something which you're kind of giving out to the other person to go and harass you more. So that need to stop, and that's one of the things which can happen. Like never feel feared about certain things. Always go ahead and do it. Put your conventions out and fight for it, or seek support within the community. And there are a lot of people in the community who can come ahead and help you in one or the other way around.
So I know I might just be asking a lot of questions, but are there any organizations again, or are there any people who are helping teenage, or who are helping kids who are going through, I don't know, maybe who are being disturbed, or maybe who are being harassed for belonging to the community? So
Yeah,
like,
definitely. So we have, there are certain organizations which are actually working. Like Hamsa for Trust has a helpline as well for children who can go ahead and have a voice out. their issues. There is one wonderful organization called a SWICAR by parents of LGBTQI plus community. So what they do is they give counseling to the parents. Like if a child is coming out, the SWICAR people will go ahead and they will have a conversation with the parents and kind of help them in sensitizing about queer issues. So that is one particular organization which is there as well. And there are a lot of other organizations which are there. You can find more information on Humsafar Trust, and you can just Google LGBT organizations within your particular state, and you would be able to get some more information about it. So internet is really available, and it kinds of connects a lot of people as well. There are networks which are happening, there's pride which are happening everywhere. So reach out to those organizations, and every source has a certain space where they can come and help.
That I believe that would be of a lot of help to everyone who's watching us right now, sir. Thank you so much for that. Niyati, passing on to you.
So coming on to that. So, sir, I have been following your stories very eagerly since the day I got to know that we'll be getting to interview you. I also saw your stories about you singing, and I was so happy to hear your voice. Can we get the chance to do again? If you could sing something for us.
Okay, I will definitely sing, because anyways my face is not visible. If I'm singing badly, my name is Rakhi Sawant. So I will just sing. Give me one quick second while I quickly look out for my equipment, if I can find it anywhere. Bear with me.
Yeah.
Oh, the power. Yeah, I got my equipment. Thank God. The power is back. Finally. It took ages for it to come, and my entire makeup got melted.
The power was in favor of you to sing today. Definitely.
Yeah. So I hope this power doesn't go again. So I will sing a small song. Let me know which language do you prefer.
We are okay with any language that you'd like to sing, but yeah, whatever you like, please.
Okay, so I can sing something which is a little bit of Avadhi. This song is really funny song, so I thought this would be a very, very best fit of this. This is called as Relia Byron, which is a very famous song in Maithili. I think Maithili or Avadhi. Yeah. So this goes in this way. Relia Byron, Relia Byron, Pia Koliye Jai Re, Relia Byron, Pia Koliye Jai Re, Relia Byron, Relia Byron, Relia Byron, Pia Koliye Jai Re, Relia Byron, Pia Koliye Jai Re, Relia Byron, Relia Byron. अरे जाने सहरवा के संयमुन गई है अरे जाने सहरवा के संयमुन गई है जाने सहरवा के संयमुन गई है आगी लागे सहर जल जाए रे आगी लागे सहर जल जाए रे गलिया बैरन पिया खोलिए जाए रे गलिया बैरन पिया खोलिए जाए रे गलिया बैरन So that was the song.
Only I know how I have controlled my legs while you were singing. I guess I'm speaking for everyone here. Everyone wanted to just stand and start dancing. And
you just dance like.
This was such a fun interview. This was like amazing, and we are so glad to have you here. And I could not ask for a better ending, and although I don't want this to end, but I'm pretty sure our viewers and everyone were really entertained, and they got to know a lot of things. Thank you for all the information, and for being such a humble person, and being patient with all of these endless questions we had. Like we could just
I hope that there was a power for a while, because I could have shown a better face. But having said that,
with power, without power. we love your look today. I love your look today. I was just actually, I have seen your few pictures in your few stories before, and I've seen your looks, and I was like, okay, I am really excited. What look are you gonna come up with today? I was
So
really
this was
looking forward.
actually, aromantic look, which was green, light green, white, gray, and then black. Now, what exactly happened was because there was no power, the entire thing melted and it spread everywhere. So I need to redo it and then put pictures onto my Instagram.
We are so looking forward to the pictures, and thank you for being with us here today. It was a very informative, entertaining, and I mean, thank you so much. I am just out of words right now.
Thank you so much for being patient with me and with my electricity. And the last song which I actually sang was for the electric board. I think they get bored. But yeah, I forgive them. It's like, okay, though you are homophobic, but I have a really bigger heart to forgive you.
The power, that's what I'm saying. The power was totally in favor of you singing today. So yeah, it stayed.
And it's stick now.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much, sir. And I hope you enjoyed being with us here today. And it was a great moment.
I really enjoyed, and this is one of the experiences which which was there for the entire period of time. It's like, on and off, and I was like, okay, I'm still concentrating in the I loved it.
Thank you so much.
And you got a little bit of light effects as well. It definitely helped in creating a really spooky thing of the entire.
No. So thank you so much, sir. I hope we do get to meet you again. I stay in Hyderabad. I do hope I sometime do get to meet you. I'm totally following Ragvanti immediately. And all of us are.
If you want to follow, you can also follow my Instagram page, which is Shastri Dancing Feet, to get more about my events or whatever is happening in future. So now things are opened up. So definitely there will be more physical events which are happening on time and manner. So please do join us, and I think it would be really fun to have all of you in a public space, and where there is no power cut like this happening, and we all would be happy and chilling, and just do join us.
Sure, sir. I'd like the panelist members as well, with all the good questions that you've come up today, and all the audience who stuck with us till the end. And please, there's something more coming up, and please stay tuned to it. You can also join. Please do come up to our Spotlight series if you'd like to. And thank you so much, sir. It was lovely having you.